I'm really overwhelmed with projects on this bus, but one of the biggest projects I've been procrastinating on is taking out the air wipers and putting electric wipers in. So...
Hi, I'm Chris. Yeah, that's not me. That's me. I do a little bit of everything. Even I don't know what projects or things I'll be getting into. So follow along and hopefully we'll both learn something. Make sure you press subscribe, hit the bell, and smash like. This is 11th Hour Custom.
I decided we're going to take at least a step in the forward direction and take apart the lines that are here. So we're going to take these lines off and get that disconnected from the motor, and then we're going to see how bad it is. See if we get the wiper arms off, the air hoses off, and then see how it is to take those plates out. If we get the plates out, we can modify the plates for the new wiper motors. I'm glad to get rid of these, honestly. They suck anyway. That's the two lines. Easy as that. The air supply goes to these two switches. And we could just take that panel out and unplumb that. Okay, they're both out. Alright, all four lines are off. So we'll take the wiper arms off and we'll see what it takes to get those screws out.
Plugged up the air supply coming from the front air tank to the driver's area. I filmed it, but there's no reason to include it.
That's that. This is behind the dash. Alright, so we're going to get some vinyl or something. Maybe a piece of wrap material. Cover that up. Steel and aluminum. I didn't let that sit overnight. I've had enough. We'll finish tomorrow. We're getting there. So this is the passenger side. Pretty thick piece of aluminum. And we're going to TIG weld those holes up. Probably this hole and this hole and this hole. We're going to mount them new ones and then we'll repaint the white. You'll never know. I won't. You might. Who knows? We'll see what kind of blend job I do. They got to be repainted anyway. They're all bubbly. That's all due to steel and aluminum not mixing. And try to save this silver. We'll repaint this. One down. This is the passenger side.
So this is what we have going on. On the other camera, I had to butcher and cut. I took a grinding wheel and cut off. I didn't cut it off, but I scored it enough to get the ring off of here, which, I mean, like I was trying to salvage this, but you could see the aluminum and the steel literally welded itself together. I'm gonna take this and try to vibrate that bump bump without damaging the plate. I could care less about the wiper motor. Oh man, that did it. How about that? Jesus. Bing bong. I don't know why I didn't do that in the first one. This is out of a stub-nosed school bus, and it was an International. These were doors that you open to get to these wiper motors. The cool part about these is, first of all, the price was right. These, I paid $100 for these. I know they work because I've already had them wired up. They're a lot smaller. So this is the switch, and you have on, which is, this is intermittent all the way up to low, high, and it's one switch that runs both wipers. I had my dad was an electronic engineer, and I had him reverse engineer this switch. He figured out how this worked, because with all these diodes and everything, I had no idea. I guess either way, I've been afraid to take this apart because my dad passed away. Not that that's funny. I'm afraid to rip off any of the tags. They've been sitting for years. Actually, one project we worked on together. See that? A tag just fell off. Okay, so I'm going to relabel these before I really screw up. Everything will plug in with the factory harnesses, and then this will work. It's 28.5, and then this one is just about 29. So it's really like a ½ inch difference. So one of these we're going to mock up almost fully before we weld anything. So the one thing that we really got to be careful of is to make sure we have the room for when we put this panel back in, that the motor can hang down. And I'm pretty sure we're fine on both sides of the clearance, because it's going to be on the lower side of that panel. I put tape on here, and with a little bit of wiggling back and forth and out motion, the gear drive came off. So there's the gear that drives the arm, and then there's a seal, and then we have this nut. So once we have this nut off, I'm guessing the whole bracket in the back comes off. So it's 1 inch. Oh God, it's so nice when things come apart like this. This feels like this is just paint on this. It's like aluminum spacer. This is what we have going on here. So this motor now is loose, and it's as simple as that. That's it. So that's our drive mechanism. So our only problem is this stud here. We'll have to see if we can get a new one. We'll use this as a template. This is a job I've been procrastinating for so long. So we're gonna weld these up. I just got back from TIG welding up the plugs that we made earlier. So we took a hole saw, and I took the center point back and used a wood guide to drill out a plug. And I was hoping to salvage the silver paint, but as you can see, it's a total disaster. So no big deal. I knew I was going to have to repaint the white. There was like a wear mark here, so I welded that up too. So the mount holes are welded up. We're just going to clean these up real good, sand them. They're going to get epoxy primered white, and then I'll mix up a silver to match those. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grind all this flat, and then we're going to do the layouts. The guy from Exile, he said the bus was silver when they bought it, and that coincides with this silver I see here. So it looks like it was, you know, primered, painted silver, and then primered this gray primer, then painted blue. So I'm gonna mark with a chisel where the silver stripe ends, so I don't have to put them back in place and mark it. There's the original color. It's almost like a pewter color originally. It's almost the color that's on there now. It's like a little more purplish. I had another ah shit moment. This is the driver's side motor, and I was down under the dash here,
But you can see where that red is. That's the windshield wiper panel. And this bar right here was my concern. But since I brought the motor in, and we're gonna have to raise the motors up to clear everything. Let's see if I can get this up there. So if you look, even if we go up, the motor's off to this side, which is good. So we have to go up from the original mount, probably like 2.5 inches. This side kind of mounts similar to motors, obviously opposite, but my biggest fear was clearing this frame if we put them near where the original ones were. So that'll bring the wipers up like 2.5 inches. And you believe it or not, you'll probably get more of a visible area. So I think this is kind of how we're gonna mount them. That'll clear the mechanism and everything. So what we're gonna do is hook this up and make sure these arms, I don't think they'll go further than this ledge. Ready for this science experiment. We got hot ground, everything's grounded to that, and then this is the switch hot. So you can see, so they barely come below this bracket. I mean, almost maybe a 1/2 inch. So I think we can go with one, probably the passenger side, and mock it up. We just have to grow a set of balls and cut the holes in one of these. I have no fear that the driver's side is going to clear. 3/4 would be oversized for the wiper motors. Oh my God. That hasn't been drilled since 1988. I got a package today. It's from Unity School Bus, and I found them online. And what I got was a new mount. Now I only ordered one. I wasn't sure if it was going to be the same. So it looks to be the same, it just doesn't have this adjustment slot. And make sure it fits over the spindle. Now the other thing we have to do to make these work is we got to take about at least 1/8 to 3/16 off the spacer. So that's that piece. It looks to be the same. So that came with a new gasket. This was about 21 bucks. And then total with shipping, it was $34. So now we can take the other plate I have and drill the hole in that one. And we also are going to drill these 1/4 inch holes. So they match up, everything matches up. It came with a new nut and a washer and everything. Windshield washer seems like it's going to work out well. It's in a good location. There's multiple projects going on. One is being, this is the trim I made for the edge of the floor and the edge of the stairs. This can be primered and painted. I needed to get this done to be able to primer and paint gas tank for the chopper. So to be able to primer and paint these, I have to make sure that the holes are permanent. We're going to take those two plates and bolt them up and make sure our bolt holes work flawlessly. So they need a little bit of filing. That these fasteners just came yesterday. And they're stainless steel. These, which are 1/4 28, but they have the Allen head. This is the thread we needed. This is the size. What we're going to do is pick the best hole, then alter the other one if we have to. But we want to make sure that once they're primered and painted and clear coated, that when we put them on the bus, the bolts go right in without having to alter anything. My holes weren't perfect. So we'll file them out. Once they're ready to be bolted up, I'm going to take filler and fill in all the little dents I made from welding and fare these out flat. The thing you need to take into consideration is there's an arc in this, so there's a little bit of a gap there, and that makes the bolts come in on an angle, so you want to make sure there's clearance for those holes. And then we're going to make some kind of gasket that touches the steel to the aluminum so that these don't, start to corrode. So that will cover, this ever rotting and then leaking, and it'll be caulked and sealed, and so that's it. And then I'm just filing these holes a little bit. So we just give it a check.
So that's good. We can push forward now with the epoxy fairing compound and all that, and then epoxy primer. I made 2 sets of gaskets out of cork. We're going to take this out in the bus and run an electrical test on it. So you can see that's going to be tight. So that's kind of what we're looking at. So we're going to mix up some epoxy filler. This is the total boat. It's just equal parts. This stuff actually is really nice. We got our spreader here. We're going to mix this up until it turns green. One thing you can guarantee that I'm doing is making a mess. Like everything else, you kind of got to get it out of your head to be in a rush. As much primer's on there with a little bit of blocking, it should be flat. This side, after a couple minutes, looks pretty good. On this here, I took some epoxy primer and I used it as a filler to fill in a little low spot that was bothering me. And then, let's see. And then these can be base white. We don't need much. Alright, so that's ready to go. Maybe tomorrow we'll mix up the silver out of what I got and we'll try to match it to the bus. Let's see how close this white is. So you might hear the bus running. I assembled this to do a dry run with the wiper arm because I had to shave down the bushing that's under this seal here. So I glass beaded these ends that control the arm. We're going to disassemble it and caulk around where the motor comes through, and then reassemble it and put the driver's side together and put them in the bus permanently. The lines line up. Oh no. Mold under the paint. The wipers are in, the electric motors are in, the harnesses are hooked up. We got a wire from there over to that electrical panel. For the washers. And test number 1, power wires run. It should be hot to the switch. We got 2 sets of grounds hooked. I didn't run the hots to the motors, but we have to do a test to make sure it's not backfeeding through there. Let's just turn this key on. Turn this on. There we go. That's working. And then I should be home. We put the wiper arms and we'll see how that works. Here's the power to the washer, so we're gonna run that down, straight down into the compartment below. So I think I'm gonna go get something to eat. I'll leave Polly in here. Right, Polly? You wanna go outside? Pa. I might need a little bit of lubrication. What that squeaky noise was. Anybody saw that? I didn't realize we were recording. The wipers were acting all wacky. They were going in different directions, this and that. I think I have them clocked pretty much where I want them. They go out pretty far, further than the Silver Eagle wipers went. I was questioning, my dad came up with the schematic, and there was 2 extra hot legs per motor. And I just ran a jumper from the cigarette lighter to the other 2 hot legs, and then they work exactly the way they're supposed to work. I'm gonna run those 2 hot legs over and then over to the same breaker panel because they seem to respond with the extra power source. So that was the problem with that. Who knew, right? Hopefully that's it. I mean, that's intermittent. Turn it up. That's probably the highest. That's the highest. And then there's medium or low. And there's high. And if we shut them off, they go back to home. So that's 1 switch, 2 wipers. And it's nice, cleans up a lot of the space under the dash. And now so we're gonna do the washer test on the wipers. This is the final electrical wiring. See if the pump works and everything else. All right, everybody ready? Ready. How about that? Now, is there any leaks? No, that's a good sign. That's awesome. I have to thank my dad because this was his project. He did a great job. I used a thread setter gun along with 3M panel bond to glue in the thread inserts for this. All right, I'd say that's done. Dun 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 dun. What'll be next is the wiring harness here. We'll secure that. Let's see how this looks. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. All that complete. For now. Well, there's 2 projects left for the bus wipers. And this is one of them here. Is this. We gotta kind of make sense of this. This was just temporary. So we're gonna kind of group all this stuff together. I'm gonna drill a couple holes, a couple clamps. Let's see what size clamp that holds. I got these 1032 taper head Allen bolts. One at a time. Okay. See what that looks like.
So we're gonna go down the line here, maybe about 6 inches apart or so. Last electric wiper project, Napa wipers, 24-inch NPB 24. That's the one thing good about these bus wipers is they take regular windshield wipers. So you should just have to unhook them. And that's it. Snippety snap. So plain and simple, I'm opening the box. And that's it. Clickety clack. And they're the right height and everything. Huge upgrade. Just gotta fix this crap. Hopefully head to the bus show.